Welcome back to Conservative Direct. Ever wonder why Democrats seem obsessed with high taxes, reckless spending, and pushing policies that drive people away? It might not be mere incompetence. There's a name for what they're doing: the Curley Effect. And trust me, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like one of those optical illusions, except instead of a magic eye picture, it's your tax dollars disappearing into a black hole. Let's rewind a bit and introduce you to the namesake of this effect, James Michael Curley, the four-time mayor of Boston in the first half of the 20th century. Curley was a master politician who figured out that the key to staying in power wasn't by making his city better, it was by manipulating who actually lived in it. Curley would pass policies that hurt wealthier citizens, basically encouraging them to pack their bags and leave. Why? Because the poorer, dependent voters who stayed behind were his loyal base. Curley represented the newly arrived Irish Catholic immigrants, and the so-called Boston Brahmin WASP elites hated him. The feeling was mutual, and once Curley had power, he used it to force wasteful wealth redistribution and hurl invectives against the elites. Here's a direct quote from Curley: "The day of the Puritan has passed, the Anglo-Saxon is a joke, a newer and better America is here." During his mayoralty, the population of Boston had the lowest growth rate in the nation, and the city saw a drop in relative wealth. Those sad numbers didn't stop the people of Boston from electing him their mayor a whopping 4 times. In other words, if you can't win with better ideas, just change the electorate. Now let's fast forward to 2002 when 2 Harvard scholars, Edward Glaeser and Andrei Shleifer, coined the term the Curley Effect. They laid out how politicians like Curley use divisive policies to drive away opposition and entrench their power. It's not about lifting people up, it's about cementing your own base by literally shrinking the opposition. It's like winning a popularity contest by making sure only your friends are allowed to vote. Let's hear them describe it in their own words. We call this strategy increasing the relative size of one's political base through distortionary, wealth-reducing policies. The Curley Effect. By differentially taxing different groups of voters, the incumbent leader can encourage emigration of one of the groups and maximize the share of the voters who support him. While benefiting the incumbent, these taxes may actually impoverish the area and make both groups worse off. But Glaeser and Shleifer observed that this strategy is hardly unique to Curley. They cited additional examples of political leaders employing this strategy, including Detroit Mayor Coleman Young and Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe. The Curley Effect is alive and well in American cities today. Look at Detroit, Chicago, or Baltimore. These cities have been bleeding residents for decades, driven out by high taxes on high earners and policies that favor bloated giveaways to the Democrats' political constituencies. It's straight from the Curley playbook. Take Detroit, for example, once the booming heart of American industry. Now it's a cautionary tale of what happens when you tax and spend your way into oblivion. And who's left? A shrinking, more dependent electorate that keeps voting for the same disastrous policies. Or look at San Francisco and Los Angeles. High taxes, skyrocketing housing costs, and policies that practically invite people to leave. And guess what? The people who live there are leaving, migrating to states like Texas and Florida, where the weather isn't the only thing that's better. That's right, this effect is not just at the city level. Let's talk about the mass migration from blue states to red states. People are leaving places like California, New York, and Illinois in droves, heading to red states like Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. Why? It's simple. Blue states are taxing their residents into oblivion while offering less and less in return if your goal is to build your own business or your own family without getting on the government dole. And here's the kicker. It's not just American citizens being shuffled around anymore. Today, the Curley Effect has gone international. Let's talk about the ongoing illegal migrant crisis. Cities and states, mostly blue ones, shocker, are bending over backward to provide freebies to illegal immigrants. They're handing out cash, housing, and now California's even toying with giving taxpayer-backed home loans to illegal aliens. You can't make this stuff up. The giveaways just keep coming. But are these giveaways an unwise blunder from bleeding heart liberals, or a calculated move to shift the electorate? Why worry about courting American voters who disagree with you when you can import a whole new loyal base? It's the Curley Effect 2.0, now with added taxpayer-funded perks. Now here's the chilling part. The Curley effect was initially a local phenomenon. It caused middle-class flight to the suburbs and neighboring states. But when these policies go national, where do we have left to flee? At some point, the borders of Texas, Florida, and Tennessee won't be far enough away. The left's grand vision of taxing and spending their way to power could engulf the whole country if we're not careful. So, what do you think? Where else do you see the Curley effect in action? Is your city the next one on the chopping block? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more unapologetically conservative content from Conservative Direct. Stay informed, stay strong, and stay conservative.